Hey team, hope you're all doing well. Today's topic, I want to go over how do you run a sub 230 marathon. I know a lot of individuals out there are trained to run a 229.59. There's nothing easy about it. There's no question about that. But that being said, it can be done. Other athletes have done it, and so can you. It's just a matter of you being consistent and believing in what you're doing. Okay, you need to hold 5:43 per mile for 26.2 miles, or 3:33 per kilometer for 42.2 kilometers. So the biggest hindrance for most athletes is being able to sustain this pace for the entire duration of the race. Sure, a lot of athletes can start and run maybe up to 20 miles or around 32 kilometers at sub 230 marathon pace, but what happens in that last 10K? Okay, a lot of athletes start to really fall apart both physically and mentally in that last 10 kilometers. I broke 230 twice in my career. I ran 219.35 for my PR and 226.43 at the 2011 Monumental Indianapolis Marathon. And I can tell you from my own experience, I was in the very best shape of my life. If you change up how you're training, you start focusing more on quality over quantity. Okay, if you're running 100 miles a week and you're running 7-minute mile pace for the majority of your mileage during those 100-mile weeks, of course you're going to be in great aerobic shape, but you're not going to be in the anaerobic capability and shape that you need to be in to run a sub 230 marathon. Pacing is critical. You should not be going out at 110 through the first half if you're aiming to run a sub 230 marathon. You should be going out around 116 to 117 and then coming back in a negative split. Start paying attention to your hydration and your caloric intake in these races. Okay, this is not a 5K or a 10K. So your strategy has to change up. You have to start practicing drinking more and taking in more gels in training. Okay, make training the most difficult part of your preparation. The race itself is not the day for you to be stressed out and tense. Let your competition be that way. Okay, you have to be confident in your preparation and what you've been doing leading up to your goal marathon race. I always recommend the time frame to train for a sub 230 marathon is a minimum of 16 weeks, but preferably 20 to 24 weeks in length, 5 to 6 months. Okay, this is an elite time. It is not a time that athletes that are just kind of interested in running a fast marathon time go after. It's a type of time that you have to be fully committed, 100% white hot focused in order to run. And it doesn't necessarily, if you're lacking talent, it doesn't mean that you can't run a sub 230 marathon. Okay, if you're lacking talent, you're going to have to make it up with your work ethic. Sure, there's a lot of athletes out there that are very genetically talented that can run well below a sub 230 marathon, well below, sub 210, sub 220 minimum. But those athletes that are extremely talented, if they don't put in the work, they're still not going to get the results. Okay, and even some of the world's top distance runners still have to be in very strong shape to run a sub 230 marathon. So how do you run a sub 230 marathon? My recommendation is, one, focus on a negative split. Don't go out too fast. Don't be too aggressive in the first half of this marathon. It's always important to be a little bit more conservative in the first half and then really drill down, especially in that last 10K. There's two parts of the marathon, the first 20 miles and the last 10 kilometers. I knew going into the 2007 California National Marathon that I was definitely prepared to run my goal time, which was 2 hours and 22 minutes flat. I ended up running 2:19:35, taking 4th place overall and the top American. But I had a lot of setbacks along the way. I was doing 6 1-mile repetitions on the track, 3 2-mile repetitions on the track, repeat 400s, repeat 800s at paces that were down toward 4-minute mile pace. So again, my tactic and what I want to share with you, and you trying to go after 5:43 mile pace or 3:33 kilometer pace, start training at paces that are down toward 5-minute mile pace or down toward around 305 to 308 K pace. Okay, that's key because you want to get goal marathon race pace to feel more sustainable so that you don't slow down as much as your competition. Okay, it's very important to not be too aggressive in the early stages of the race. Definitely, you're gonna, again, this is an elite time. 2:29:59 is a time that so few people around the world run each year in terms of marathon times. I always talk about running your long runs faster. Okay, if in the past you've been very consistent doing tempo runs and doing track workouts, but you've always focused on running long, slow, and easy every weekend, that could be one of the key reasons why you have not broken the 2:30 marathon barrier yet. It's very important that you start running at VO2 max effort during your long runs. Yes, running around 95 to 100% of your max heart rate for certain segments of your long run. Running at anaerobic threshold effort during the long run, running very relaxed and easy during the long run. That's what I mean by varied pace. You're running a mixture of both running at maximum effort, running very relaxed, and running at anaerobic threshold. And the reason why is you're changing up your intensities, you're teaching the body to improve its lactate tolerance, and that's absolutely essential because the biggest problem for most athletes trying to run a sub 2:30 marathon is pace sustainment. Okay, if you're running too much volume too easily and you're not focusing on your speed work, you're not doing hill repetitions every other week, you're not doing your long run, your tempo runs are too short. Okay, if in the past you've had a problem breaking this barrier, look at your tempo runs. How long have they been? Have they been like 3 to 5 miles in length, up to around 8 kilometers? Or have they been more toward around 12 kilometers out to around 20 kilometers? That's my recommendation. Start running your tempo runs and spending a longer period of time at your anaerobic threshold so that, again, you're training at or close to goal race pace effort. Okay, when we race at our half marathon or marathon all-out effort, we're running right around or slightly above our anaerobic threshold. So running at a more intense effort throughout the week is going to be key for you breaking the 2:30 marathon. It's important to do those track workouts, doing ladder drills. That might be 4 1-mile repetitions followed by 3 800s, followed by 3 600s, followed by 3 400s, like a drop-down ladder drill. Like I mentioned before, doing hill repetitions of either 200 to 300 meters in length where you're running all out on the way up or jogging and walking on the way down, just depending on your fitness. You're doing longer tempo runs, and you're not running long, slow, and easy every single weekend on those long runs, because easy long runs running far too aerobic is not going to prepare you to race a marathon at under 2 hours and 30 minutes. You have to start running those long runs at a faster effort. Okay, and I'm not talking about every single weekend. It should be alternated. You should run a very paced long run one weekend, followed by an easy jog, relaxed, easy long run the following weekend, and then continue to build upon that. Okay, your long run in the early stages of your buildup might be 10 miles, okay, around 16 kilometers. But as you get fitter, you want to extend the duration of your long run, and you want to extend the intensity, spend a little bit more time at a faster pace during those long runs. Spend a few more miles or a few more kilometers below anaerobic threshold effort. Again, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable to run a sub 2:30 marathon. I know you can do it. I'm an example of it, and I didn't have a great deal of talent either. I mean, I started running in 1992. I didn't run under the 2 hour and 30 minute barrier until 2007. So I can assure you that if you don't have the tenacity, if you're not willing to work hard for a number of years, it might take you a couple decades to run this fast. If you don't have that willingness, it's going to be very difficult to run under a 2 hour and 30 minute marathon barrier. You can run under 2 hours and 30 minutes in a matter of a couple years. Some athletes might take over a decade to do it. Again, that's the reason why it's so fast. It's such a very difficult time that so few athletes achieve. And I've known a lot of athletes even that can run under 14 minutes for a 5K who have a hard time breaking a 2 hour and 30 minute marathon. So know what you're up against. Be certain with what you're doing in training. Follow a 5 to 6 month plan. Start changing up your tactics. Start visualizing and seeing yourself breaking this barrier on a daily basis over a 16-week to 24-week buildup. You need to be visualizing 10 to 15 minutes daily, seeing yourself running, getting across the finish line with 2:29:59 on the clock, because it has to start in the mind first. It's if you all you're doing is physical training, you're only doing 50% of the work. Okay, the world's top middle to long distance runners focus both on mental rehearsal as well as physical preparation. So do what they do. Okay, follow and study what the best middle distance runners, long distance runners, sprinters do. Okay, I hope this is helpful for you all that are trying to break this barrier. Feel free to let me know your comments in the comment section below. What has caused you the biggest problems in the marathon distance? Where are you currently at? And I'd love to hear that as well. And definitely leave me a comment. I'll definitely respond back to you. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so when I make a new video, you'll be notified of it. And I wish you all the best in your training. And like I said, I believe in what you guys and gals are doing. I know you can break the 2 hour and 30-minute marathon barrier. Other athletes are doing it, and so can you.